Hi, it's Shannon Hanswell. The nearest Paul McCartney got to being funky was back in 1975 when he invited the Meters to play at the launch of his album Venus and Mars aboard the Queen Mary cruise liner, Long Beach in California.
In a salute to Paul and Linda, let's welcome from New Orleans, the Meters. Hey, hey! Yeah.
Of course, there's the Hamish Stewart connection. Although there's that one time Coming Up was released in 1980 and did really well in the UK charts. Got to number 2 and number 1 in the American charts. Allegedly inspired John Lennon to go back in the studio and start recording again, so it obviously had an effect on him. And I suppose it would have been a kind of a novelty, really, because McCartney hadn't released anything that sounded like that. And it was essentially a one-man band. Nearly all the instruments on there are played by Paul McCartney, the drums, bass, guitar, and all the keyboards and synthesizers. The track is what I would call quirky funky, I suppose. I mean, it sounds a bit silly, but it's one way to express the experience I get when listening to it. It's sort of a bit skitsy. It's quite mechanical in one sense, but also very funky in another. For example, if we break down the instruments one by one and hear how they're layered, you start to understand better what I'm trying to express. So you've got the kick and the snare and the hi-hat on the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the second quaver of each beat is the hi-hat. So in the bass, McCartney's playing on the 1, the 2 and the 3. So you have boom, 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 boom. So the drums and the bass together. The drums and the bass are quite straight. The funk is being expressed in the guitar. What he's doing is, on the first drum, he's playing the all 3 strings, and then just the 2 notes here. He's alternating between 3 and 2 notes. Now, while that's going on, in the panned right, there's another guitar that plays these interjectory rhythms. So on the third beat of the bar, so the main rhythm, the constant rhythm guitar, and then interjectory one panned right. So you've got the guitar spread out like that. So it's a nice little variation there. And just gives the track a bit of fullness. When we get to the 5th bar, a keyboard sound is introduced. I say keyboard sound because I'm not too sure. I can't be categorical about it, but it sounds like a clavinet. It sounds like McCartney's playing a clavinet. And it's quite kind of hidden there. You have to listen very carefully for it. The tune is in E flat and the vocal melody revolves around the E flat major pentatonic. goes to the chorus. Now the chorus is A flat major, B flat minor, C minor, D flat major, E flat major, F minor, E flat minor over G flat, and E flat major over G. It's a really clever progression. It's got that sort of upward motion that leads us really nicely back into the second verse. After the second chorus, it goes back into the main groove. This is then followed by this kind of jazzy section, I suppose. We're in E flat dominant. It then changes to an A flat, which is like the 4 chord. It's almost implying a blues, you know? Then he has this really interesting melodic line, which is derived from the A flat dominant scale, but he has some chromatic notes in there as well. Then back to the one. Now the instruments that are playing it sound like a combination of synthesizers. It almost sounds like there's a trumpet in there. It's a very breathy sound, high register breathy sound, and I'm not sure if it's a real trumpet. I don't think it is, because he's playing all the instruments and there's no indication that there's live brass on the track. I'm assuming that he's using synthesizers to emulate a trumpet sound, and I'm not sure exactly what they are. I can hear a mini moog in there as well, so that melody it has this trumpet-like sound, but there's also a high register mini moog sound doubling the melody. So as the song draws to a conclusion, we stay on the main groove, but the drums drop out at certain points, and the synthesizers seem to get louder. They sort of interject at certain points, and then Linda McCartney's vocals are there, the backing vocals, which you can hear up in the higher register. He must have been very inspired when he wrote this. It's got a great groove, and it is my favorite McCartney tune, solo McCartney tune. Okay, he's done a few others, but I really like this one. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it and you found something of interest in this video, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.